we go. I trust we are live once again, this time horizontally. So, I'm gonna try and create some space between me and the doggos. They've been maximum shenanigizing on the sidelines, and they keep touching me. Like things like this. All right. Super cute until you consider it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and them helping you make heat is no longer that appreciated. Today, we showed up with the intention of realizing the eternal practices that we as human beings will have to continue refining, revisiting, and getting better at throughout our entire lives. And not only throughout our entire lives, but throughout the entirety of lives, right? Of every single person that has lived and will live on planet Earth. And then we went through like a little list of what are these things human beings practice and will practice going forward, right? What is it we uh, what is it we find important? What is it we add value to? What is it we are going to have to eternally do? And the list came out, and please do feel free to add to the list if you know as well. I feel one of the things will be giving your doggo pettins, right? The eternal practice, something that always needs to happen, of course. But then there is also ritual and reverence, right? Going through the ritual of waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth or whatever. That's a ritual as well, technically. And there can be reverence had for that as an experience, right? You can see it as something more special than it is, and vice versa to something that might not be that significant can be special to you. And that will ultimately become a part of your story, right? The second point being storytelling and expression, realizing that you are actively expressing in everything you do and everything you say. In this way, you show up in the world, you are expressing yourself. Mojo, nice having you here, friend. Thank you for expressing your way the way that you do, for the breathing, for the way that you move. Those are the third points, right? That we as human beings will forever, as an eternal practice, move and breathe, right? We'll practice yoga and we'll do martial arts and we'll dance and we'll fight probably as well. That is the next point, right? Is the fact that we do as human beings spend a lot of time fighting. Ciao. It's nice seeing you here too. Good morning to you. Yeah. And then if we can get better at conflict resolution, then maybe we'll be allowed to build and create more things. That is the thing that we as human beings all want to do. I feel one of the things that definitely kind of hurts us as a species right now is the fact that not everybody has the same access to resources to be able to build, right, and create as they might want to. Fortunately, we do have the digital plane these days, and we human beings will find ways to create no matter how we do that, how we shape our environments, our homes, and our cities. And in this pursuit, hopefully, slowly but surely, we'll keep seeking knowledge from our experiences, learn from our fellow animals, learn from these creatures we share a world with, see what lessons they can teach us. What lesson are you teaching me right now? What lesson are you teaching me? What are you saying? What are you saying, sweetie? You're saying chillax a little bit? You're saying chillax? Huh? Is that what you're saying? No? That doesn't seem like chillax to me. It seems like some wild, seems like some crazy you're trying to teach me right now. That sounds some crazies. Am I getting bit right now? You think sorry? Okay, yeah, probably. Yeah. Is that a bug? Huh? You see a bug for a second? Love and connection. being one of the other eternal practices that we as human beings will have to continue practicing. Right? There is love and there is connection between me and this doggo. Right? There is. She doesn't fear that I'm going to strangle her out when I give her neck stretches. Right? Because there is love and connection. There's an understanding that is formed. There's a practice that has been practiced between these worlds. There we go. Pippi peto saturatio has been reached. What a sweet baby. She really is very cute. And a teacher, and like you can learn from teachers. You can learn from the worst teacher. Let's say it in that way. I don't think she's the worst teacher, but the lessons I learned from her uh, are jealousy doesn't look good on you. That's like one of the biggest lessons that Pippi has taught me. And not like I don't think I'm a jealous person. I don't think so. But at the same time, seeing how I feel internally when I see jealousy manifested in her experience, I'm like, hmm. And again, that is literally my own projection as well. Maybe jealousy is one of the things that I don't like about my own personality. Seeking that knowledge again, right? And then finally, death and acceptance. I think that's one of the other things that our animals teach us, even though that's the last lesson that we want to learn from them. Doggos and humans. Doggos and humans. Nanshi, age, old story. One we're still actively writing. Isn't that neat? We're not done just yet, friends. What will our relationship with dogs look like 100 years from now? Sending everyone warmth. It's gonna be a cold week. Sending your friends all of the warmth that you can ask for. I hope you friends are gonna have some extra firewood or whatever and stay warm. I don't know if this is an appropriate thing to think about. And the fact that I have to question it means that I'm not really that excited about saying it because now that I've said anything, now you're wondering. I was curious. Curiosity and playfulness. That's a fun eternal practice. Absolutely. Seeing those two things being taught by Pippi as well. All right, as her eternal practice. Definitely the playfulness. Um, like seeing the LA wildfire, aftermath, and then people like walking through the streets, and you just see these chimney stacks, right? Nothing else, and these chimney stacks made of brick just standing. And my mind did feel like about that. Hmm, hmm, drama string. My mind is suddenly getting completely derailed. I'm thinking about the eternal practices, especially as it relates to the difference in worlds we build around ourselves. I'm thinking about how one of the reasons American homes are primarily made out of wood is because that's the way it's been done for a very long time. And when homes were built after the war era and stuff, there was an abundance of wood and the ability to process them into materials, right? Factory process materials into something accessible that people can then use to build their own homes. It's much easier to do that with wood than it is technically any other resource. I think even still, and then imagining the fractal. My mind's ideal is like Earthship type of homes, where you basically start the whole build by digging a like basement slash foundation, right? And then you have an entire basement's worth of material next to your build site, and then you somehow use that material building your home, right? So you make a hole, and then you build a shell around that hole with the hole's contents, right? And surely you'll have to add some sort of cement, some sort of binder. And we do have like natural binders these days as well, like synthetic binders that we're starting to develop. I wonder how much that is being done right now. Are people building their homes by digging out a basement and foundation and then using that material as the walls for the actual building that goes on top? Freaking mosquitoes out here. Yes, that's a technique called excavation based construction or earth sheltered building. Yeah. And variations of it have been used throughout history and in modern sustainable architecture. They are some key examples. Rammed earth construction. Yeah, rammed earth is another one where you don't have to technically have as much concrete or cement as well. In most cases, people dig out a foundation and then use the excavated earth to create rammed earth walls, a process where soil is compacted into formwork to create solid, durable walls. This method has been used in ancient civilizations like China and parts of Africa and is making a comeback in sustainable architecture. Yeah, that's actually one of the ones that I've been looking at as well. The adobe is very cool, where you use like bags, I believe, like adobe, sun-dried mud bricks, and cob, hand-shaved mud walls used from excavated soil from the building site itself. Common in regions where there is deserts, where materials like stone and wood were scarce. Earth bag construction. Modern earth bag homes are bags filled with soil from excavation, stacked to create strong insulated walls. There's a YouTube channel called Tiny Shiny Home, I believe, as well. They're building their house out of adobe bags. Hey, JV, it's nice having you here too. And then the basement and cellar integrated into the structure. Some modern homes with basements or underground shelters use the dugout material for things like landscaping, bermed walls, or even structural components. Ancient and indigenous underground homes. Many ancient cultures, like the ancestral freaking mosquitoes. Oh, I hate them so much. Oh, they're. Hmm. Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. This is fine. I'm not gonna lose my mind. Yay! Look at me. I'm not losing my mind. Yes. Okay, this is coming down. Could you imagine a ceramic home? That would be wild. Hmm. I'm imagining like almost like building the home with like that slick mud-like material, and then applying enough heat to, as you said, make it ceramic, like a cup. You use like torches. We use like a massive oven, some sort of alien death ray, maybe a little bit. That would be super cool. Okay, there we go. The itch of the new mosquito bite just hit me. Mm, yeah, the anger. How do I resolve? Random question. Can you give us the history behind your butt cushion? They've been with us on this journey so long. These butt cushions came from chairs, or do you call them chairs? They were technically like couch frames, to say it in so many words. So like wood constructed into frames, and then these cushions would slot into those frames. Right, like three like this, and then they had like backrests as well. But because it was, I think, something that was bought secondhand or something like that, it wasn't really in good shape. And if you used it the way it was supposed to be used, um, it wasn't very structurally sound. And then as that, these cushions just kind of started laying around, and I don't like not having anything to sit on. Geez, that cushion might actually be the one thing that has been around since the beginning. It outlasted his hair. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Like, I need to confide in you and let you know that it's not been the same cushion. Like, we've probably like cycled out of like 6 of the cushions because they unfortunately did get slowly but surely destroyed by me using them in this way. Full disclaimer. I actually want to. One of the products that I would want to like offer you friends one day is a product of cushions, of seating cushions. I already have a design in my mind. I think it will look nice. It ought to. Right, otherwise, what's the point? Sitting on pieces of art. That's the way I see it. You are right, though. This also has been around this whole time. Right, this little ring has come along. This necklace too. I wasn't wearing it from the very start, but I had this before I started streaming. This scarf is new. This shirt was also among the first round of shirts that I got. I just saw another mosquito. I don't know if the mosquito saw me. I'm just getting so unreasonably angry. Start getting more paranoid. What else? Still got the same teeth, but I probably have replaced most of my other cells at this point. Right, because we only see our hair grow in the way we see our hair grow, but our skin technically does the same kind of thing, right? It's like creating layers below, and then there's layers of you flaking off ceaselessly. And if I do something like that, like millions of layers of me just flaked off into the world. Strange. I'm going to partake of one more Dynavap, and then I'm going to say goodbye for the day. I have some other work that I still want to do. Shouldn't take me too long, but it needs to be done, kind of thing, right? It's just have to do it, so it's done. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm trying to liken everything I'm experiencing right now to today's stream topic: the eternal practices. Discipline being one of those. You know, it didn't come up in the second list, but it wasn't the first one. Discipline, applied discipline, is something we human beings will have to continue to practice indefinitely. Every 10 years, we have created a whole new skeletal system. House dust is mostly skin flakes. That's awesome. I didn't know it's 10 years. Your entire skeletal system, a complete replacement of this whole thing, right? That is kind of wild. I can tell you I was a different person when I was 15, 16. Definitely. And I will probably be a whole different person by the time I'm 35 as well. I think one of the things that I want to get a little bit better by the time I'm 35 is my health and my ability to meaningfully focus, I think, as well. I hope that gets better too. Every second, our bones create about 1 milliliters of blood cells. Creation. An eternal practice. I love that. Yes. Glad you friends are well and using the good wood for your random and various human purposes. It's true. Wood is at least renewable and sustainable. We can grow more wood. My mind is building homes. I'm building homes in a bunch of different ways. One of the ways that I want to build a home in the short term is I want to create like a big, let's call it more solid frame. And then on top of that frame, I want to basically buy a pallet of solar panels. And then instead of using roofing, I basically use solar panels as the first like protective layer. And then I use some sort of ceiling technology, some sort of bracket that overlaps and has like a gasket or whatever that clamps onto all of those panels. So there's like water tightness. And then below that, after creating that almost roofing, right, creating that shaded area as well, doing the rest of the work underneath that. Wood isn't exactly renewable in our lifetime. Trees take decades to grow into wood that is usable enough to make houses or furniture. It is true. It is true. And in that, I want to like show you something quickly, actually, Joy. Like there are people in our country only now benefiting from the decisions people made literally in the year 1918 kind of vibes. So look at this. Right, here's South Africa. I'm gonna stop. Satellite view. And you see how it's like all brownish right there? Brown, lightish. That's because it's like desert there. And then you can see there's a lot more green as we're going like toward this side. And then you'll see there's like these entire like swaths of like green spots. And you're like, what is that? And those are like kilometers and kilometers of tree plantations. Right? Like a lot of trees. Like more trees. You can see the shadows there. Right? More trees than you can fathom. Again, right? Like that's like a small little microcosm, and then like look at the scale. Look yeah, holy shit. So yes, I'm in agreement with you, Joy Vive, that trees aren't immediately renewable. Right? Like we cannot just and then have more trees. However, in the long term, and with sustainable practices, and with us mindfully planting trees, we can have so much trees. Let me actually do the question as well. We're talking a little bit about trees, and one of the things that I just showed the audience is a photo or the satellite picture of South Africa. And we were scrolling over those big green swaths of trees, more to the right side of the country. What are all of those trees, and what percentage of surface area of our country do they cover? Maybe it'll give us a number alongside the percentage, I'm sure. Wow, school right? Karate, karate. Hey, Joe. It's nice having you here, bro. What, what percentage? Mm-hmm. Gathering information. Influenced by country's diverse climate. Total forest area. So 14% of South African's land is covered by forests, equating to about 1.2 million hectares. There's natural forests, so like holy, that's insane. 13.6% of the forests in South Africa were man made. The natural forests constitute about 0.4% of the country's landmass, covering around 500,000 hectares. Those numbers don't exactly line up. So it's more like there is about two, two and a half almost more man created forest in South Africa than there is natural forests in South Africa. And then there are commercial plantations, where industrial forests plantations cover approximately another 1.5 million hectares. So there's like just forests, man made forests, that's 1.2 million hectares. Then there is natural forests, that's 500,000 hectares. And then there is commercial forest, that's another 1.5 million hectares, which is another 1.3% of the national land area. That's wild. Tell me about how that wood, especially so the commercial plantations are used, how renewable they are, how much wood there is, and how we can visualize the use case thereof. How many homes can we build, for example? And if we were to start harvesting those commercial plantations, um, and we kept planting as well, what is our end game? You know, how sustainable is this? How long can this last? I don't know if that question is going to be able to be answered, but salad, it's nice having you here, friend. Sending you blessings. All right. South Africa's commercial timber plantation covering approximately, getting another number, 1.2, it was 1.5 million hectares, are pivotal to the nation's wood supply and have significant potential in sustainable construction. The annual yield, these plantations produce about 15 to 18 million tons of timber annually. The species composition are pine, eucalyptus, and wattle. 49% pine, 43% eucalyptus, and 7% wattle. Product allocation, approximately 87% of plantation area is dedicated to pulp production. What? What? Are we still using that much paper? I guess. Oh my goodness, that's so much. Approximately 57% of the plantation area is dedicated to pulp productions. 38 to the saw logs, and the remaining 5 are used, such as in mining timber, where they use the stumps as like supports underneath the horse. Okay. My mind is getting a little bit bamboozled by the fact that 57% is being turned into pulp. Because pulp, I don't know if it's that used for after it gets, made. Cold and wet winds sweep the landscape today as crisp air kisses the face. It's like waking up to an open refrigerator door. All the critters are tucked up tight and waiting for the light of the sun. Bless. Sending you energy 7 times over as well. How much wood would the woodchuck chuck if the woodchuck could chuck wood? Good question. 7 seems to be the answer. Wattle, if the woodchuck only chopped wattle at 7% at the very least. Timber and construction. Timber is increasingly recognized for its environmental benefits in construction. Studies indicate that substituting traditional materials like steel and concrete with timber can significantly reduce the environmental impact of buildings. Timber frame homes can be mass produced in panels, transported to sites, and rapidly assembled, offering a viable solution to housing shortages. Yeah, I don't know if South Africa is gonna go for timber homes though. Hinges on responsible management practices. While timber is a renewable resource, challenges such as decreasing plantation areas down from a peak of one. Okay, so it was 1.5 million hectares in 1996 and 1977 to 1.2 million that it is now pose concern. So some swaths has been lost. Factors contributing to this decline include stringent water licensing, environmental policies, and land use challenges favoring other crops. To ensure long term sustainability, it is crucial to implement practices like continuous replanting, efficiently using land, and adherence to environmental regulation. Didn't really get the information we were hoping for. I'm fascinated by that high number of wood being turned into pulp. Is it being turned into pulp primarily because we're using so much paper still in our day to day lives? I'm thinking that paper is probably especially used in excess in packaging, right? Like that's probably the main case. We're not using paper as pages that much anymore. I can't imagine. And is the wood being turned into pulp usually of inferior quality? I'm imagining the 38% that goes to the saw logs are probably the cream of the crop, so to say, as well. And the other percentages might be worst quality, overall. What if humans engineered new rainforests to help bolster the atmosphere and ozone? I think we're doing that, bro. In South Africa, we've literally done that. Right? I don't know if you know this. I'll maybe do a little search to give you like some info on that. We're talking wood. We're talking some wood, bro. People still use a lot of TP. That's probably another one as well. I'm back with delicious cappuccino. Sounds good. We could do away with TP if we all adopted the bidet system. Yes, it makes a lot more sense. And it is better, right? It is better. You need TP after your bidet. It won't. I don't want soggy bottom. Yeah, but you need less, right? I think that is kind of the point as well. You will use less toilet paper at the end. Sustainable as we become more aware. I don't know how to light fire unless it's turning on the stove. Light the fire, turning on the stove. I feel again we have been convinced as individuals that we as individuals need to live more sustainably, and then if we do, things will get better. And that's literally a lie they're selling us. Our individual actions can't make that big of a difference. And this is not me encouraging you to not try and make a difference. The difference you make is something you get to feel good about. But it's not something that the earth relatively is going to be able to feel good about. Right? We need to decarbonize our manufacturing. The places using most of the heat. That's basically where we need to focus our attention, and that's how we're gonna make big dents in carbon emissions really quickly. A substantial portion of South African wood pulp is processed into dissolving wood pulp, which is a key raw material for producing cellulose-based fibers like viscose and lyocell. For instance, SAPI, a leading producer, produces approximately 1.4 million tons annually to the global market. Ah, ah, I see. It is exports happening. Packaging and paper products. Despite the digital age reducing the demand for traditional paper, the need for paper based packaging remains robust, driven by factors like e commerce and consumer goods. Quality distinction. Saw logs are typically of higher quality, possessing larger diameters and fewer defects, making them suitable for producing solid wood products like timber for construction and furniture. In South Africa, saw logs account for approximately 38% of the plantation output. Pulpwood. Generally, pulpwood consists of smaller diameter logs for those of imperfections that render them unusable for solid wood products. Okay, checks out. Like I can feel the mosquitoes closing in on me. I think I'm going to say goodbye slowly, but surely. I think this shift is around the corner. I see it too. Slowly but surely, and then all at once. Instead of blame shifting to the individual consumer. Yes. Yes. I see me and Gab, we're kind of like basically on the same page. Exactly. And again, if you're going to do something good for the environment, you get to feel good about having done something good for the environment. To me, it's like a relationship thing, right? If you throw your thing away in a trash can, even though it's still not great, instead of on the floor, you get to feel good about the fact that you're not adding to the waste that is in our nature, right? And slowly but surely, as more and more of us get to feel good about that, our immediate environments will look better for it. But the real change, the real trying to stop global warming is going to happen with industry. It's going to happen with government spending, right? Because like they're blame shifting onto the consumers, right? But they're maximizing profits at the same time. Oil right now is still profitable. They're burning a lot of oil and coal in the process of making things warm when there are other ways to do so. There is the capability to start electrifying those industries, and it's not being done purely because it's not going to make them money immediately, right? They can't just be like, wow, so much money, yay. All right. Then again, blame shifting onto people of like, yeah, you're the problem. If you weren't such a hungry consumer, we would totally not be producing any carbons. No, totally not. Too much of an unusable byproduct. Yeah, exactly. Homage to the trees built to survive the deep freeze, yet cut down at their knees by those who didn't even say please. No doubt. What's that all about? It's a relationship, you know. Might not be a very healthy one, but it is a sustainable one, right? Because if we had to see the act of someone planting baby trees as something beautiful and profound, then so too the making sure they have enough water and they have the right soil, and so too the waiting for generations as they slowly grow. There is still a relationship that is had throughout that entire experience. Might not always be healthy, but it is continuous, right? It is a practice that we're getting better at. We're getting better at this relationship we have with Amagaya. Yup, yeah, I think about that a lot. It's the lack of awareness. We live in a disposable product society. If sustainability in the product was our drive, this would inherently be less trashy. Exactly. If we just made it expensive, right, to the corporations, like if you're gonna produce single-use wasteful items, then we're gonna charge you for it. Right? Like, it's gonna cost you extra to do that. And again, right, like they're gonna want to pass those costs onto the consumer, but we can make it so they can. Right? For instance, like the plastic waste in our oceans, right? It is so easy, like so easy, to determine. You can literally go and sample that trash, that plastic, and you can take out those products and you can like match them to the people that produce them. And then you can just say like, "Oh, how about that Coca-Cola? 40% of the trash in the ocean happens to be your bottles." We know you can't decide how people use your disposable products, but you have, by selling them, made hundreds of billions of dollars. So it wouldn't be too unreasonable to expect you to spend some of those billions in helping to clean our oceans up. All right? And that way it's empirical. We do data measurements. We literally sample the plastics, right? We trace back to where they came from. Especially with the whole single-use thing, right? Like flip-flops. Flip-flops are made so cheaply that they break within months so that you buy more of them, right? Like there's the only thing that it has of value, like the only thing you can do with it after it stops having value is for you to throw it away, right? This pair of sandals, right? Like look at this. You can see it's starting to wear through, right? Like this is about a millimeter thick right now. Maybe you can see that, right? So this is getting thin, but this pair of sandals is at least a year and a month old now. Where the sandals I had just before I got this pair was five different, like $10. I think yeah, that's right. Five different like $10 pairs of sandals, and this pair of sandals was $40. So relatively speaking, I paid $50 for five pairs of $10 sandals that lasted me maximum 2 months before, this little part would rip out of the shoe to the point where you putting it back doesn't create any integrity anymore. You know the pain if you're a sandal wearer, right? And now this pair of sandals is still going, and the only reason that I will throw them away is because I would literally have worn them through with the amount of movement I do, right? Having them underneath me. We don't want to throw things away. That's kind of the point I'm making. I don't think we as people want to throw things away. I think things being of poor quality, things not bringing us satisfaction in our lives, not bringing us value, is why we throw things away. And again, the reason something doesn't have value or doesn't bring satisfaction is because you were sold a product that wasn't, wasn't well, cared about. Let's say that at least. However you want to interpret that. Love is a fickle happening, isn't it? It's a practice, bro. It's a practice. Practicing it, loving. I'm sure it's an individual shift. No going back in time. Okay, friend. They have been rubberizing paints that can restore the bottoms of those sandals. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Can be repaired. Exactly. Then I can just, right, just. But again, what is that rubberized paint made of? And we're back, because pieces. I'm creating microplastics as well. Am I not? The fact that there's pieces of my freaking sandals missing means that there's pieces of my sandal somewhere else. I hate that. Again, right? And this pair of sandals is of better quality, relatively speaking, right? It didn't, like, the failure point wasn't this part because they have built into theirs. See that? They have like a little piece of plastic that more evenly distributes the mass or the forces pulling on the rubber, the foam, the material. Right, and as a result, the failure point hasn't been that. And like again, that modification would cost less than a cent, right? And then that's at less than a cent being spent per extra sandal that is being sold for $10, which is still relatively cheap. Wouldn't be spent because it would literally create a product that would last longer than they want it to last, right? Then it's profitable for them for it to last. Just taking a breath going. They can be repaired, a little bit of string and a little bit of paint, and voila. That's why the poor end up spending more. You're right. I was thinking about exactly that as well, Joy Vive. It's because the $10 is more manageable in the moment. But then the $10 product only lasts you 2 months and you have to keep buying it over and over again. That's why the poor end up spending more. Yeah, they can't afford the $40 all at once, but the $10 is manageable, even though over time they spend more money. Yep. I remember hearing this when the apocalypse hits. You're gonna wear shoes. You're gonna be one of wearing shoes so you can navigate your way through debris and rubble. Yeah. Yeah, like our feet are still sensitive relatively to the rubble we've created, the glass and the concrete. We intellectualize and make points about sustainability. All they choose, all the choices versus the slavery of the system. Vanity tells us that ugly homes made sandals indicate poverty or something like that. Everyone wants to look good, so they just buy new shit. It's a big society, it's a big social cycle of don't care. Yeah, don't care about the thing, throw it away, get a new one. So in that way, right? Like you friends have been watching me wear like the same clothing for as long as I can manage to, right? Even past the point that I'm supposed to, technically, right? If I had, in my mom's words, like more self-respect about how it is I'm seen in that way, right? It's not that I don't have self-respect. It's just I respect the part of me that will wear a shirt with a hole in it because that hole doesn't make it less valuable as a shirt to me. And the only way that that shirt loses value is if I throw it away, right? So it only has value because it's my say, and I take pride in that. And I believe that in us teaching that as a lesson through our own behavior, we will be able to get other people to get along, on that other cycle as well. Melty, that rubberizing paint is meant for dipping tool handles in for a better grip. This stuff is pretty durable and magical though. Like an actual spray can. I'm the same, Melty. Bless you, salad. I love my muck boots. I love you. One more time, I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. Thank you for spending a moment to consider the practice that is eternal, that is our lives continuously unfolding one moment to the next, that is us getting better and better at all the fundamentals. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me once again, and I look forward to seeing you soon. She should be happy. At least you're not walking around with your ass hanging out anymore. Exactly. Exactly. Love is true. Thank you, friends, for joining me. Though we do it again tomorrow.